Hello and welcome to this week's Ruby Shoes podcast, bringing you the very best of local entertainment across East Anglia each week. Now for this episode, I'll be joined by Dean Wales, who'll be appearing in Kiss of the Spider Woman, which is being performed by the Gallery Players next week. Plus, I'll be reviewing a Patrick Marber play, The Red Lion, which is currently on at the New Wolsey Theatre, and I've been chatting to the cast and the director. And then finally, I've got two pieces of great theatre coming up shortly you won't want to miss. But first, let's hear from Dean Wales. Kiss of the Spider Woman is a Manuel Puig play. It's directed by Helen Clark and it's being put on by the Gallery Players. And I'm delighted to be joined now by Dean Wales, who's one of the characters. And it's a very rare play, Dean. Tell me more about it and how you came to actually perform it in the first place, because this is all happening next week. So we're really close. Final rehearsals at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, Kiss the Spider-Man, I suppose, is a bit of a misleading title, unless you come and see it, and then you're realising about the last page of the script, it's revealed why it's entitled that. But yeah, you're right. It's written by Manuel Puig. People may know it as the Kendra Nebb musical or the William Hurt movie, but this is the original play. So this is the original play and the original script. And how we came about doing it was. Ben Matham, who plays Valentin opposite me, he's a professional actor, professionally trained actor. He's also the cousin of Sam Barnett, who played Posner for Alan Bennett in History Boys. He's on TV a lot, in a lot of films. We all went to go and see it. My partner and I, Ben and Helen, all individually, or as individual couples, went to go and see it at the Meunier's Chocolate Factory. And we came out and we said, oh my gosh, we're going to have to do this. So a little while later, we got the project together. Ben applied for the license, only to be told that the license for the play had been totally removed. It's just gone. It's very difficult to get any scripts for. There's only secondhand scripts out there at the moment, and no license. But so we did instead a Sandy Toksvig play called Bully Boy. We did that as a workshop, and then went on to do it at the Gallery Studio. But Ben wouldn't give up. He wanted to do Kiss the Spider-Woman, so did Helen, our director, and he kept going for it. So he eventually wrote to the estate of Manuel Puig, and they've given us a special permission to actually put the play on. So this isn't actually a license; this is actual permission from Puig's own estate, his own family. So
that's amazing.
You're not going to see it very often.
No, crikey, that's really rare, if ever at all. That this could be the very last
indeed.
time. So it opens, as I said, next Tuesday, the 26th of September. Going to run through till Saturday, the 30th. How are the rehearsals going? Because you're just at that sort of last ditch attempt now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the last legs of it actually. It's going very well. I will say it's probably one of the toughest plays. Or even, I mean, I've done musicals and all sorts of stuff, but this is one of the most toughest productions I've ever been on. Only because it's so cleverly written. The characterizations are sort of woven absolutely perfectly. Manuel Puig must have been an incredible observer of human nature and psyche of what he's written into this. And the story is so intriguing too. So there's a lot to play about with. And considering it's just us in a prison cell in Argentina, as you can imagine, there's a lot to go into that. Yeah.
And tell me a bit about the two characters, because they're very different, aren't they?
Totally different. So you got Valentin, who's a Marxist revolutionary and a straight guy, and Daryl Molina, who I play, he's quite a flamboyant gay gentleman, slightly older than Valentin. He's a window dresser, and he's been in jail for a little while, so he's already in the cell. He's made it his home, and for reasons which I don't want to tell you at the moment because it's a spoiler, but he's Valentin's thrown in with him. So they're in this very confined space. It's not very pleasant. As you'll see, there's some great set design in this. It's very damp and wet and dank. And it's basically watching how these two, it's like a mini Big Brother. You're watching these two people get on and their sort of relationship developing. It's beautiful. I have to say, it's a really, really beautiful play. Yeah.
But it sounds quite exhausting, actually, from a performance point of view, I would imagine, because you must have to put your all into it. It's described as very powerful, very moving, and you've got to create that every single night. So that must be quite exhausting for you, I would think.
Yeah, it is. It's a two-act well, it's a two-act, two-man play, so it's really just Ben and I. There is another character who's the warden, which traditionally is just recorded, but we've got another great actor, Richard Spencer, on board, who's actually a lecturer in performing arts as well, and we've created him. So you're going to actually see the warden, not a nice character. So he gives us a little bit of a break, but he comes in and does a couple of bits with us. But mostly it's just Ben and I, in the cell.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that you and Ben have been on stage together, is it? Ben Matham, you've performed together before. Was it in Bully Boy?
It was in Bully Boy, yeah. So this was the play we did. It was a Sandy Toxic play that we did instead of Spider-Woman because we couldn't get a license. And we did a workshop version of it at Felixstowe Library. And then we went on to do it at the Gallery Studio once Gallery took over from the Wolsey. And again, went down an absolute storm. So we work very well together. We have to in this. It's a much closer play, as you can probably appreciate. And like I said, the character development in it is quite remarkable. Yeah.
It sounds it. Now, as I said, it opens next Tuesday. That's the 26th of September, runs until Saturday the 30th. It's being performed at the Gallery Studio Theatre, which is St George's Street in Ipswich. How can people get hold of tickets and come and see you, Dean, and also Ben Matham there?
Yeah, if they go onto the website Gallery Studio Theatre, so that's Gallery Studio Theatre, all one word, .co.uk. They'll find us on there and find a way there to book as well.
Wonderful stuff. Now, before you disappear, you're also going to be doing something very, very different in December. And probably not so much of a stretch for you, just a bit of fun. And that's Widow Twanky in a Ladders at the Spa Pavilion. It's that time of year when we talk about Panto. I've already talked to Mike McLean at the Regent, the Theatre, about their forthcoming production. And I've talked to the Theatre Royals, Joe Tracini, who's playing the Good Fairy this year. Tell me about Widow Twanky and how you've ended up doing that.
Okay, well, I did 18 seasons of Panto at the Spa with Dennis Lowe. Well, I did 12 with Dennis. No, I did 12 as Dame. But Dennis Lowe got me on board, and then he, as he put it in his own words, he was going to pass the boobs over to me. So I took over as Dame from him just before he passed away, unfortunately. So he never saw me play Dame.
Oh, wow.
Did that right up until the Spa closed. I thought I'd call it a day after 18 seasons, but then I went back with Susie Lowe and with Sylvia and rewrote some of Dennis's old scripts and rewrote 2 new Pantos together. And then last year, as I'm retired, supposedly, I decided to go back as Dame, and I'm back again this year. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we will look forward to both of your performances there, Dean. Thank you so much for your time for the Ruby Shoes podcast. And, well, break a leg.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on.
Now, last week I was at the New Wolsey Theatre and I got to meet the cast who are in the Red Lion ahead of reviewing the actual play itself by Patrick Marber.
I'm Alistair Natkiel and I play Jimmy Kidd.
I'm Crispin Letts and I play John Yates.
I'm Olatunji Ayofi and I play Jordan.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today for the Ruby Shoes podcast. Very much looking forward to seeing you all perform on stage later on. Tell me a bit about it and your roles and the audience reaction to it so far. Can I start with you?
Yeah, well, it's set in a semi-professional football club, a club that's kind of seen difficult days, but where we join them, they're doing quite well. And I play the manager of the club, who is very ambitious and has done a very good job. He's taken the club over. He's been there 2 years, and he's done well, and the team are doing well. So, but he's very much a climber and looking to get as far as he can get within the game, which leads to certain things which we won't go into too much detail. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But leads to
tension, maybe.
Tension. Bit of kind of. What's the word? Conflict in the values of the characters, between myself and Crispin's character John. So yeah, he's fun. He's witty and hopefully charming at times, even though he's probably pretty flawed, to be honest. But he's a good character to play.
So Crispin, tell me about John.
John Yates is the kit man. and he looks after the dressing room. And we learned that, in fact, he was an ex-player, had very high points as a player, and he'd also managed them for a short time, for 2 seasons, which had not gone well, and they had been relegated, and he had disappeared for up to 10 years, and we learn this as the story unfolds. In the present moment of the story, in walks a young man who is a very exciting prospect, played by Ola here.
Who's literally sitting to my right.
And both Ali's character and my character are very excited about the prospect of having
this is
such
like
a
new blood, I imagine, for the
talented
club.
player coming through. And Ola, perhaps you'd like to explain a little more.
Yes, and what's the pressure on you, I'm imagining, in your character?
Yeah, Jordan. Yeah. So Jordan is the new face in the room, I guess, in this environment. You know, I guess Alistair set the room, and now Jordan is the new face in that.
And a lot riding on him, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's kind of pinning their hopes on you.
Exactly. There's a lot of pressure on him, but for Jordan, I think it's as simple as his love for the game.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's about all of our loves for the game, but in different ways. And for Jordan, he just loves to play. He just loves to be out there on the pitch, kick the ball, have fun. But it's where it gets interesting is that you realise it's more than just standing on a pitch. That football is. It's all the technicalities behind it, the contracts, the managers, the systems, the clubs. Everything becomes, I guess, more complicated as the story progresses. And I think Jordan just gets thrown into this whirlwind, and what the play is about, for at least him, is how he discovers to handle all of those things. Yeah,
sounds brilliant, actually. And I don't think you need to be a football fan to kind of get this, because it's literally about those very intricate relationships, isn't it, between the three of you?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about this in rehearsal, and Doug, our director, has been amazing because he's not a football fan himself. So actually to have been directed by somebody who doesn't know a huge amount about football and was learning about football as we were going through was actually a really good experience, because it did show that somebody who, yes, it's about this world, and it's interesting from somebody who doesn't know anything about this world to have a sneak peek into this world. But it also asks questions about relationship, fatherhood, family, love, belonging, and as I said, there is a conflict in the different values that they have, and that's like an example to the wider world of a conflict of different values wherever you might go that happen all around. So yeah, it's also a good play for football fans, because there's football banter in it, so if people do like football, they will enjoy it. But you don't have to like football to get a lot out of it as well.
You don't necessarily understand it, but it's about that world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have the three of you worked together before?
No.
No.
So this is the first time.
New trio.
It's been good, very good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that must be quite exciting, actually, because each one will bring something different to the party.
Definitely.
Very definitely.
Yeah.
And this play is about 3 generations. I'm playing the older generation, Ali's the middle generation, and Jordan is the young.
Yeah.
And it's the clash of values, as Ali has just mentioned, and it's a very, very male play, an examination of masculinity and men's inability to express their feelings. That's a huge part of the play.
And that's what's also funny, because I mean, it is a clash of values, but then we also find where we're very much alike within all three of us. And it goes to show, I mean, no matter the generation, time or place, we're all still men. And we share that kind of amongst us in how we, like Crispin said, handle love.
You're sort of putting on glasses that make you see into the future, almost. You can think, well, I'm going to turn into that person, and then I'm going to turn into that person.
But that is a little bit of what it is for Jordan, because he looks up to these two adult figures, and he thinks, you know, what which one of them shall I become, which one of them do I have to become, and which one of them will survive. It's interesting.
Now, I can tell you, we went to see The Red Lion after speaking to the cast, and neither of us are into football at all, but it was literally spellbinding. It was so good. At the very end of the play, the guest I took with me turned around to me and literally just said, "That was spectacular. That was so well done." And the set itself, as soon as you walk into the theatre, you're completely captivated. I won't tell you too much because you've got to go and see it yourself. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called The Red Lion and it's at the Wolsey Theatre, as I said. But it'll be there until this Saturday, in fact, the 23rd of September. But let's have a word with the director now and he can tell us a bit more. New Wolsey Theatre Chief Executive and also Artistic Director, Douglas Rintoul, you joining me now ahead of tonight's performance. I've just spoken to the cast of The Red Lion. Sounds a really exciting play, but what was really funny is finding out that you're the director of it and you're not a football fan. And I feel so much better because I don't know that much about football either, but actually I'm really interested in what it's all about and all the sort of intricate details of those tricky relationships between those three generations.
Yeah.
So how difficult has it been for you as a director? Have you had to get your head around football, or does it really not matter?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think the brilliant, I read the play, I was given it by a friend of mine, an actor friend went, "I think you should do this." It was when I was running a different theatre. I absolutely fell in love with the play. I was really moved by it. It's very funny. It just really captures a world, and I think that's what I really love about theatre, is that we can enter into a whole world that we might not know. So if you love football, great. There'll be details in there that maybe some audiences won't get, but that they're very few.
Yeah.
But actually, the joy of it, of not knowing the world of football, and this is this is non-league, semi-professional football, so it's not a Premiership or Championship. It's not what we know from the media. It is its own subculture. It's a whole world, and it was really, we enter into that and we watch events play out within that world. I think the brilliant thing about when you start to really interrogate that world and the play, it could be about theatre or it could be about religion or, really it's about the desire to do something together, the collective endeavour, which we, lots of, we're all, lots of us are in groups or we work in particular organisations or
they're
particularly
really close-knit, aren't they?
And they're very close-knit.
And it's about how those relationships all work together. And as you rightly said, it could be anything. It could be any industry or any workplace. This just happens to be based around
It just
football.
happens to be around football. I think it does relate. In the rehearsal we were talking about theatre quite a lot because the passion around football, obviously there is a similar passion for theatre, and then there are similar dynamics. And I think the big question in the play is, in the world that we live in, can there be a pure collective endeavour anymore? And he plays around with that. He doesn't particularly answer it, but it is because you have three different characters from three different generations. And so they have three different experiences and desires from what they want to get out of being in the world of football. And so there is a clash of generations about the values, and that's sort of what plays out. But what is so brilliant about the play is there are great writers that can do a play like this, and Patrick Marlborough, there are a few great writers who can do something as brilliant as this, which is take something that feels really domestic and a bit banal and ordinary, and these are really ordinary men, and it's a really ordinary place. It's not the TV cameras,
No.
It is semi-professional. A lot of volunteers are in this kind of world, but then through the relationships he expands out to ask some really big questions around the collective endeavour. It's a play about belonging and about love, really, as well, about being seen and being part of something.
And it must be really exciting for you because you've come in at the beginning and, as you say, you fell in love with the play, but to actually see it now played out on stage, it must just quite literally take on a life of its own, I should imagine.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's such a brilliant play. It's a bit like a musical score. I often like to reference it's a bit like a musical score that it's very technical. I mean, you have to create the worlds and you have to create the emotional life of the characters, but actually the text is incredibly precise. It's got all these incredible rhythms within it. So it's really enjoyable when it plays with that score that he's written. It's really exciting. It's really great. And it feels like such an achievement.
Oh, I'm sure. And can you relax when you watch it? Is there ever a moment when you literally go, oh, yes? Or are you constantly on edge thinking,
no.
Oh, what about this? What about that?
I'm constantly on edge. And I think because it's a really layered play, is that you actually learn more about it the more that you see it. And as the production evolves. So I haven't seen it for a few days. So I'm watching it tonight. So I'm really intrigued to see how it goes. But also because...
I'll be watching your face
you're
as well as
my
them
face.
before,
They do a brilliant job. And audiences have been responding incredibly, positively towards it. But
That's what the guy said. They said they can feel the reaction from the audience. They said literally it's tangible. You can feel it, and that makes it all worthwhile.
It's a good night out. It's a weighty play, but it is a really great night out. So for that, I really love watching the audiences enjoy it. I am a bit meticulous with some of the kind of like rhythms and beats of the play. So when they do go a bit out, which every performance there will be, because it can never be the same.
And you know that.
And only I know that. Which I always have to remind myself is I know that moment was not.
Are you quite a tough director, do you think?
No, I'm not tough. I'm quite precise.
Yes.
And quite detailed. I just want to make the play work.
Yeah.
So, and I'm there to support the actors to be able to achieve that, because it's a great gift, this play, and if we do it well, its audiences respond really brilliantly.
When you do it well.
Yeah.
When.
Yeah.
Doug, lovely to talk to you. I know you've got stuff to do. Get out there, go crack the whip, and I look forward to seeing it later.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Now, finally tonight, I did promise you a couple of things that you really wouldn't want to miss. First of all, Blood Brothers is at the Ipswich Regent Theatre. It's from Tuesday the 19th of September through to Saturday the 23rd. It's a musical, but it is captivating as well as moving, and it's a tale of twin brothers, and there is some fantastic music in there as well. And I defy anybody not to leave there without basically crying, because it's very sad, but it's just amazing as well. And at the Mad Market Theatre on the 28th of September, really interesting one caught my eye. Priscilla, Queen of Disaster. It just sounds fantastic. This is, if you're a mum, you'll get this completely. So it's a play all about motherhood, and it's basically not just paying attention to a photographer to take a perfect photo of your little bundle of joy curled up in a basket. Priscilla, Queen of the Disaster, is beautifully honest about being a mum, tears streaming down your face, laugh along with the sometimes kind of savage experiences that motherhood can be, and just face up to letting go of what we all thought it might be. If that rocks your boat, you just need to get in touch with them. So that's maddermarket.co.uk, and Blood Brothers, if you fancy going along, that's ipswichtheatres.co.uk. That's all from me for Ruby Shoes podcast for this week. Join us again next Monday, where we'll have our next episode, and you have a great week, won't you?